I'm 87. That number surprises people more than it surprises me. When you've lived this long, numbers stop feeling like labels and start feeling like chapters. 87 isn't just age. It's decades of mornings, heartbreaks, quiet victories, and lessons you didn't ask for but had to learn anyway. And if you're listening to me right now, I want you to understand something before I begin. Life doesn't end when you think it does. Sometimes it starts again when you least expect it. I was married for 52 years. 52. That's longer than most people stay alive in some parts of the world. We built a life together, a house, a routine, a rhythm so predictable it felt like breathing. His name was Daniel. When I first met him, I was 19. He had this way of smiling like he already knew something wonderful about you that you hadn't discovered yet. Back then, that kind of attention felt like magic, and I believed in that magic. We married young. Too young, if I'm being honest now, but back then it felt exactly right. We didn't have much money. Our first home had a leaking roof and floors that creaked so loudly you couldn't sneak anywhere, even if you tried. But we were happy, or at least, I thought we were. You see, when you spend decades with someone, you stop questioning things. You start assuming consistency means honesty. You think familiarity equals safety. It doesn't. I didn't know that yet. The first crack appeared quietly, not dramatically, not like in those movies where everything shatters at once. It was subtle. He started coming home later than usual. At first, it was work, then meetings, then helping a friend. The excuses weren't even creative, but after decades together, you don't expect creativity and lies. You expect truth, and that's what made it so easy for him. I trusted him, completely. If he said the sky was green, I would have looked twice before questioning it. That's what love does when it's been left unchecked for too long. It turns trust into blindness. I remember the exact day everything changed. It was a Tuesday. I had gone out to buy groceries, nothing special. When I came back, I realized I'd forgotten my purse. Silly, right? At my age, you laugh these things off. So I went back inside, and that's when I heard voices. A woman's voice, soft, familiar in tone, but not in identity. There's a moment, just 1 second, where your brain tries to protect you. It tells you there must be an explanation. I wish I had listened to that voice just a little longer, but I didn't. I walked in, and there they were, in my living room, in my home, in the space where I had built a life for over half a century. He looked at me like I was the one who didn't belong there. That's the part people don't talk about enough. Not the betrayal, not the lies, but the way they look at you, like you're the interruption in their story. She was younger. Of course she was. That's usually how these things go. But it wasn't her youth that hurt me. It was the familiarity. She knew where things were. She knew how he took his tea. She knew him. That meant this wasn't new. This wasn't a mistake. This was a second life he had built, while I was still living in the first one. I didn't scream. People always expect that part. But when your heart breaks after 52 years, it doesn't shatter loudly. It collapses inward, quietly, like a building that just gives up. I put the groceries down. I looked at him, and I said one sentence. How long? That's all I needed to know. Not why, not how. Just how long I had been living a lie. 3 years. 3. Do you know what 3 years means when you're 87? It's not just time, it's everything. It's birthdays, anniversaries, moments where I thought we were still us. All of it, gone. Or maybe it was never what I thought it was. I left that day, not dramatically. No packed bags, no shouting. I just walked out. At 84 years old, I walked away from a 52-year marriage with nothing but the clothes I was wearing and a heart that felt like it had been erased. People think leaving is hard when you're young. Try leaving when your entire identity is tied to someone else. Try leaving when you don't even know who you are without them. For the first time in decades, I was alone, truly alone. No routine, no good morning, no shared silence over breakfast, just quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you question everything, including yourself. I moved into a small apartment, 1 bedroom, a window that overlooked a street that was always too busy during the day and too empty at night. It felt unfamiliar, unforgiving, but it was mine. And for the first time in my life, I had to learn how to live with just me. The first few months were the hardest, not because I missed him, but because I missed who I thought he was. There's a difference. I grieved a person who didn't exist, a version of him that had been built on trust, loyalty, and love. And when that illusion breaks, you don't just lose them, you lose the life you thought you had. People ask me if I hated him. I didn't. Hate takes energy, and at 84, I wasn't willing to spend what little energy I had on something that would only poison me further. Instead, I chose something else. I chose distance. Healing at my age looks different. It's slower, quieter, more intentional. I started with small things, making my own tea, rearranging furniture, learning how to sit in silence without feeling like it was swallowing me. And then something unexpected happened. I started to enjoy my own company. Not all the time, but enough. Enough to realize that I had spent most of my life being someone else's other half. And now, I was finally whole. A year passed, then another. I was 86. And I thought that chapter of my life, the part where love exists, was over. I was okay with that. I had made peace with it. Or at least, I thought I had. Then I met Thomas. It wasn't romantic, not at first. It was ordinary, which, in hindsight, made it extraordinary. We met at a community library. I was struggling to reach a book on a high shelf, and he said, "May I?" Simple, polite, nothing remarkable. But sometimes life doesn't announce its turning points. It whispers them. We started talking about books, about weather, about nothing and everything. He was 82, a widower, soft-spoken but sharp, the kind of man who listens, not just waits for his turn to speak. We began seeing each other regularly, coffee at first, then walks, then longer conversations. There was no pressure, no expectations, just presence. And that scared me, because I had already given my life to someone once, and look how that ended. I told myself I wouldn't do it again. I told myself I was too old for love, too experienced for illusions, too broken for beginnings. But love doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't care about your age, or your past, or your fears. It simply arrives. One evening, as we sat on a park bench watching the sun disappear behind buildings, he said something that changed everything. He said, "I don't want to replace your past. I just want to be part of your present. That was it. No grand gesture, no promises he couldn't guarantee, just honesty. And after everything I had been through, honesty felt like the most romantic thing in the world. I didn't fall in love all at once. At 87, you don't fall. You step, carefully, slowly, but intentionally. And somewhere along those steps, I realized I had done it again. I had let someone in. Do I regret it? No, because this time I know the difference between love and illusion, between presence and performance, between someone who shares your life and someone who lives a separate one behind your back. Thomas isn't perfect, neither am I, but we're real. And at this stage of life, real is more than enough. If you're listening to me and thinking it's too late for you, it's not. If you think your story is over, it isn't. If you think love has passed you by, it hasn't. I'm 87. I escaped a cheater. I lost everything I thought I had. And somehow, I still found something new, something honest, something real.